Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for tuning in once again to Beyond Design. As we tonight we're going to start we're going to have our episode 2 for our series entitled Women in the AEC Industry. So for tonight we will welcome back Dr. Architect Mariam Abouhadid. She last week she was also our guest and she shared with us some important aspects of research in architecture as it is applied in the academe. So just for those of you who who missed the first episode of this mini series, um, our guest speaker, architect Mariam Abu Hadid, has obtained her postgraduate degrees in the following. She has a degree in philosophy. She has a Ph.D. in environmental psychology, a Master of Science degree in architectural heritage digitization, and as an architect-educator, she has held various teaching positions. She is a researcher at the National Research Center of Egypt and an adjunct assistant professor at the American University in Cairo. As an architect researcher, she has many publications in the architecture, heritage preservation, socioeconomic aspects of heritage preservation, digital applications of architecture, representations, and other domains, as well as previous experiences in restoration of architectural heritage with the Aga Khan Foundation in Egypt. So this is our episode 2 for this mini series in women in construction, and we welcome back once again to our show architect Mariam Abu Hadid. Hi Mariam, good evening. Okay, so I think there's a slight technical glitch. So, but as we wait for Architect Mariam to connect again, okay, she's now back. Okay, welcome back once again, Architect Mariam, and thank you very much for joining us in tonight's episode. How are you?
I'm fine, Brian. Everything's fine. I hope that you and everyone in the audience are fine and excited about tonight's discussion and talk. Hopefully.
Okay, we are very excited, Mariam, with this one, especially that this is an area in the practice that is very much, I'd say, neglected or under underused or
Estimated, yeah.
yeah, underestimated, and but it is an equally important aspect that of the practice, and that goes side by side with any specialization. So we're really happy to have you here tonight, and and for those of you who are watching us tonight, please feel free to send your questions uh, all throughout the talk, and we will be answering them one by one. So for tonight's session, we will we won't have this as an interview because architect Mariam has really come prepared for this one, and she has prepared the slides so that we those of you who are watching live, and as well as those who will be watching the replays of this, will benefit from tonight's episode. So okay, so this session is about research in the practice. So we will welcome Architect Mariam to now start this talk for tonight's episode. Go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, well, Brian, last time when we talked about the importance of research in general, which means that why we are doing research and what are the benefits of research, what are the methods that we can be using while conducting our research in the field of architecture in general, and why most architects are not doing this. So today we are going to talk about there is somehow a paradigm shift in the way of thinking of architectural practice. They are thinking now that of embedding research in their profession, in the profession in general. So this is what we are going to be talking about today. We are going to be giving some examples about firms that are very well known and that are embedding research to a very far extent in their practice, and we are going to give you some examples of the products that they have reached while doing research in their firms. So the first idea is, why are we choosing this subject, which is research in the practice? We are choosing this because there is a paradigm shift. It happened that there is somehow a change in the way people or architects in general are looking towards research. They are looking to it now as a way to upgrading, as a way to keep themselves updated, as a way to produce or more creative products, and to give more to their to the market in general, and to have higher levels of or maybe broader ways of extending their areas of fields or of practice. So this is why we are discussing this, because it is happening now. There is this paradigm shift that is happening in the practice, and that we have to focus on and to shed some lights on, and to see what are the possibilities of doing it, because it will never be the same again. The practice of architecture will never be the same again. It will not keep the statics, how static it was in traditional architecture. Nowadays, everything is getting very, very updated in very, very high, quick-paced rhythm, if we can say so. And in order to be updated and be aware of everything that's happening, we have to be very quick-paced as well. So this is why we are choosing this very timely subject for our discussion or talk today.
Okay. Mariam, we can just. I think it's okay. I'm for all of you.
Yes,
Yeah, for all of you who are watching, there's a quite there's some adjustments that we're making at the back on the technical side. So I'm actually operating the slides because Mariam, you can just let me know when to turn the slides, if that's okay.
Of course, Brian. Yes, the image that you are showing right now is how the practice is changing from the core practice, which means the traditional practice and how it was always working in architecture, and then there is the serendipitous I don't know how to pronounce it. It's very hard word to say. Research, which means that how it is very dreamlike. It's not very I'm sorry, I think I'm okay, so and how it is going towards to be more structured and diversified research. So now how the trend is growing in architecture, it's growing towards being structured and diversified, as I was saying, to have a broader extent of possibilities in the practice of based on more research and more experimentations, if I may say. Yeah. So this is mainly what this graph is saying, and after this we are discussing what is the paradigm shift that I'm talking about. Well, the paradigm shift is in the coming slides, is when we used to have research in universities and research organizations only, but now research is getting more linked to the industry, to knowledge transfer and applied research. Even in research organizations, they are always having this demand to have products that are linked to the industry. They are asking us as a research organization to not do research that has no outcome, no tangible outcome. They're always asking us to have a tangible outcome that can be used in the market, that can have an enhancement in the practice. So this is a major paradigm shift in the research as well. So there is a change in the research approaches and how we are viewing research in architecture, and as well there is this change in the practice, that we are more aware of the importance and more understanding of the importance of doing research, embedding research in our practice. So this is what is happening right now in this slide, that the traditional practice is going down. I mean that it's static, it's not going anywhere, it's not evolving in any particular direction, while the new trends, the new technologies, the new materials and energy efficiency studies are going upwards, they're evolving, they're getting more and more breakthroughs every single day, and of course towards sustainability of architecture and of our cities. So there is this discrepancy between the traditional practice that is static, that is not evolving, it's not going anywhere, while there is the new trends and new materials and the new studies that are evolving every single day. And while there is this discrepancy of directions and what everything is going, where every kind of practice is going, the funds are now seeking research that are linked to the industry, that are directly connected to the market, that are directly connected to particular consumers and particular clients. So funds as well are not going towards theoretical research or research that doesn't get us to have a particular or tangible outcome. So this is exactly what is happening now in the market, whether in research or in the practice.
Mariam, with regard to that one, do you think so? Are we saying that there is a commercialization of commercialization of the areas of research that is being done in the professional practice right now? You said that there has to be a tangible product or outcome, and I would think of these things as products. Is that right?
Yes, I think that there is, actually a commercialization of research everywhere, not only in the practice, but also in the research institutions. Research institutions now are very, very much working towards having this particular demand from the researchers. Please come up with outcomes, with something that is going towards the industry, with something that will help in the market, with something that is tangible. This is one of the major requests of many funds actually in the research industry. So most of the time there is this demand in the research industry as well as in the practice, of course, because since practice is always linked to industry and to market products. So yes, we are now living in the era of commercialization of research, and that research has to go somewhere, which if we can judge this approach, I think that in many ways this is not a bad idea at all, because if research was always living in a dreamlike castle and not reaching tangible products, then why are we doing it? So it has to go somewhere. It has to lead us somewhere, and it has to be of benefit to the industry and market and then the communities, in order to have a major role and to complete the role of development, that it mainly research is done for development of communities. So if we're not benefiting from it, then why we're doing it? So this is, yes, I agree completely with the idea of commercialization of research, yes.
And this is basically closing the gap between theory and practice, because now with a tangible, with a production of a tangible product out of this research, now we can say that it's really closing, or not, at least at the very least narrowing the gap between research and theoretical research and practice-based research. So thank you very much for that, Mariam, and feel free to go ahead with your slides.
Okay, so we are having two types mainly of research in the practice. The first type is the design research, which is I will get through it, and another type is the research project. So design research is when we are doing a project, when we're having some kind of while in the practice we have to do a design for a project or whatever, and we do the design needed for this particular project, whether it's the context of the project, whether it's the clients, what their needs are, whether it is what is the consequences of such project, the environmental consequences, the mechanical features, and so on. So the design research is the research that is conducted mainly for the design reasons, yani for design purpose, yes. But there is another type, which is the research project. And research project is, as we said last time, it's a standalone research. It's not in particular, it doesn't have a particular goal or aim or project. It is mostly done in order for the mere development of the practice, maybe for some ideas, developing ideas, concepts, maybe even products. But when we are not really heading towards a particular project. And this type of research, the first one, which is the design research, everyone is doing it in the practice, even if they do not identify it as a research, as research. But the second type, which is the research project, is only done of course, in research institutions and universities and larger practices, larger firms, because they can afford what we are going to say afterwards, the time, the effort, the money, and everything to conduct such bigger and unnecessary research, if we may say so, yeah. So after those types of research, there is some phases of the research in practice, which means that there are several. When you are a designer, when you have your own practice and you are doing some market research, for example, in order to understand what are the requirements of a project, for example. And then you are preparing your brief, so you're conducting more research. And then in feasibility and design, you are conducting many types of research towards the context, towards the environmental requirements and mechanical requirements of the project, and so on. And then there is the most important and one of the most important and acknowledged areas, which is the post-occupancy evaluation. And this is done in many firms and many practices. Actually, this day, because we are doing this post-occupancy evaluation, and it is considered one of the major types of research. And there is this, there is this type of, it's a framework or guidelines, and it shows the difference between design research and research project in many ways, in the method, in how we conducted, in the conclusions, and what are the results of each type of the both types of research. After this, we are asking, when does research start? So when does it start? What happens and makes me or you or anyone starts an idea and gets to make research? Well, if you are not doing research because you are aiming for an academic career, for example, then there must be a problem. And when you're faced with a problem, or with some kind of design problem or whatever problem in your practice, then you feel that there is this need to research it, to try to solve it, to try to find solutions. So what you are going to do, you are going to search for solutions. And the method you are adopting is usually the methodology of your research, and how you are going to make the data collection, how you are going to reach the conclusion and have the hypothesis. So it starts with a problem, and when you have a problem definition, you have the first step of your research trip, and then you will have to find where is the gap in the literature. You will find some literature that has studied this area or this problem in particular, and then you will find that there is some gap, something that is missing in the literature, something that is missing in whatever other researchers have found. So you are going to work through this gap in order to try to find an answer to your problem. So this is when anyone in the practice usually have to start a research project. But we are going to see afterwards some firms who don't wait for a problem to occur in order to start researching. They are doing this for many other reasons. So which research domains that we have talked about last time that are important to the industry? As we have said, that those the ones that are highlighted in red are the main domains that are important to the industry. And the coming slide is indirectly affecting the industry by adding to the body of knowledge. So those ones are directly affecting the industry, like the interior design, digital tools, the building science and technology, the environmental studies, and energy efficiency. All those are directly affecting the industry. That is why they are very important to firms to work on, and some of them are really working on them and producing some tangible outcome. But the other domains, like the art and history, heritage studies, socio-behavioral studies, and design theories and approaches, are not directly affecting the industry. However, they are of course very of a great importance to be conducted in order to of course they have important and rich outcomes, but maybe they are not of the same importance of the other domains in the current, at least, industry. Unless there is a particular heritage restoration project, for example. That is why we need research in this area, and so on. And if we are doing something that has to do with the community development, then socio-behavioral studies will be of the greatest importance. So those depend on those domains. It depends on the project that we are conducting. The other domains really are mostly in every project. So yes, the funding is a major problem usually in research. So who funds the research for the practice, people in practice? Now there are many funding agencies that are starting to give some importance to funding professionals who are not researchers or academics, and this is starting to happen especially in the UK with a very, very minimal still it's very, very minimal, but it started to occur. It started to happen. Unlike before this, when all funding only goes to it went to academic institutions. So how does the practice needs research? Everyone in the practice, when you're a fresh graduate, when you have your design firm or whatever, you do not think that research will help you. You will not think that research is very important. You have your practice, you have your core practice, you have your core information and education and elementary knowledge and everything, but you maybe are questioning the importance of research. So for this type, we are telling you that technical and functional research is a major demand for your practice. Why? Because you can do you can have an infinity of possibilities regarding, for example, the materials you can develop with the materials you're working with. You can develop you can, maybe there are some more recently some biological development of materials, and there are some environmental analysis that you can work on. You can work on how to enhance your building performance, how to reach sustainability, how to have low carbon buildings. So all those, along, of course, with all computational design and software development that you can do in your practice. So all this can really affect your practice and how it enhances and how it gets updated and how it gets maybe to more clients that are towards this kind of creativity and novel ideas. So the most common research domains that can really benefit anyone who is in the practice are the ones that are related to the client needs, to the evaluation of the project context, to the history of any project, and the budget constraints, and assessing the performance of the materials and building technologies, and the post-occupancy, of course, as we said. But the less common, so the most common are the ones that anyone in the practice are doing. But the less common are when there are those big firms and big entities that decide to go further on with design theory, research, sociological and policy matters. Maybe they can work hand in hand with academic and research institutions and do maybe follow up to their projects after they finish it. So there are some that are really used in the practice, and some that are used only with bigger firms and larger institutions in the practice. So when we're talking about the examples that are using research and that have made breakthroughs in this area, we can say that the first one will be Perkins and Will, because they have started many years ago to have their own research journal, and in this one it's peer reviewed, so it's like any academic journal, and they have and in it they work on many different subjects, starting with client needs and people's needs. For example, people with autism needs in any environment, and reaching the materials and how to work on different materials and construction technologies. So computational design and sustainability as well. So all those areas that they work on in their research, they work on, and sometimes they have also consultants, outside consultants. They outsource outside consultants who work on those areas, and all those jobs, they didn't exist 10 or 20 years ago from now. So to say it, how to say it, that this is something that is growing, that this is a need in the practice that is growing, which is outsourcing, which is how to get more different domains and different experts in the fields, in many other fields, in order to work hand in hand with architects. So this is one of the most important things that has been done in the practice in the last 10 years or 20 years. Also, they work in Perkins and Will on high performance design, on competition design, as we said, and high performance and on sustainability, but as well that they have this journal, of course, and that this takes them beyond being a very normal firm to being some more of a complex entity than a normal firm. There is another firm which I found I never actually knew before doing this presentation. It's called The Living, and it had very interesting products that we are going to show you some of them. The Living actually it was acquired by Autodesk last summer, and it works generally on the field of architecture, art, industrial design, aerospace, computer science, engineering, manufacturing, biology, and it was recently ranked to be one of the most innovative companies in architecture. So why is so? So The Living had this kind of research that started with it. It was the founder of The Living started working hand in hand with research, and they reached many outcomes, like living, like new types of buildings, like public installations, prototypes, and architectural additional that are very unlike any traditional building that was found before. So this is the first example. It's called the Hi-Fi. It's the one after this one, yes. It's a 13-meter tall tower. The material is a low-energy biological material. It offers a captivating physical environment and a new paradigm for sustainable architecture. So the material itself was a biological product from this firm, and it enhances the sustainability of the building, and so it gives. So this was one of the first products that the Living has produced. Another example that is very interesting is the bionic partition. The bionic partition, it was developed in collaboration with Airbus, Autodesk, and AP Works, and it is one of the it's actually the largest metal of 3D printed airplane component. They created this airplane component. It's a 3D printed object, and it's a combination of generative design, 3D printing, and advanced materials. So the material, they worked in research on the material itself, and on generative design, which is the methodology they reached this design with, and the 3D printing, which is the tool that got them this product. So this product, which is the bionic partition, is a product of an architectural firm, which does so, and this is so unusual product of architectural firms, if we can say so. Another product called Hive. So Hive is a pavilion that was built in 3 days only, and it was built with a collaboration between humans and robots. So as you see in the picture, there is a 96% completion note on the mobile, on this phone. So that says that this was somehow produced with robotics and humans hand in hand. And the project was created in partnership with Autodesk PR9, Autodesk Research User Interface Group, and ICD, which is the Institute for Computational Design at University of Stuttgart. So what I'm going to show you now with the Living, what I'm showing you now in the Living, is somehow new and unusual products of any architectural firms. That is something that has to do with how to use computational design, how to you work on new materials, how to work on new construction ideas, and on everything is unusual about those products. This one, the living light, is a pavilion. It's a permanent pavilion this is in Korea, that glows and blinks according to real-time air quality and public interest in the environment. So it's human related, what the human needs now, how much light they want now, and the air quality that exists now. So so the light changes depending on the needs of the public at this particular time. So this is as well a very innovative product to an architectural firm. Another one, which is the evolving chair. The first model is a traditional design of a chair. The weight was 10 kilograms. The second one was a uniform lattice, which is 4 kilograms, and the third one was 3 kilograms, around 3 kilograms of an evolved lattice, which means that all this wireframe has taken so much weight of this product, which is the normal chair. And it doesn't only give it a new or trendy design, it also as well changed in the parameters and in the in the weight of the chair, which makes it more better in using, so as a product. The final two examples that the Living has been doing, one is the Embodied Computation Lab, which is an open source building that hosts all the future it looks more like an industrial zone. It doesn't look more of an architectural firm. It looks like an industrial or a mechanical workshop place. It doesn't look so much like an architectural or the usual architectural firms. And there is the Mars office, which is an Autodesk office. It also works on research on space, and as we can see, some are doing some research on virtual reality. And so all those products are products of this unusual firm that I find very interesting, which is the Living. Another practice architectural firm in the practice, which is its name is Kieran Timberlake. I apologize for keeping talking that much, so I can't find the letters. So Timberlake are among a new class of architectural practices that invest in research. They invest in novel construction methods, also in custom modeling, in environmental analysis. They have made this fusion between software development and building performance. So this is also one of the important firms that work in research. In the second slide, they show us a sensor that they have produced. They spent a year actually collecting data on the temperature, humidity, lighting, and energy consumption of 2 rooms at Yale University. And then they produced this sensor in order to see how to adjust those variables, which are the temperature, humidity, and lighting, in order to reach the energy efficiency in those 2 rooms. So the firm has continued to refine the sensor technology. They worked on the sensor technology, and then they won an Architect R&D award in 2013. So although this product may seem mechanical, it may seem something that doesn't have to do anything with architecture, but it has, because it works towards energy efficiency of an architectural space, and it granted them this Architect R&D award. Another product of the same company, which is the Timberlake company, is the Tally plugin. It works with Revit, and it gives a result of a life cycle assessment of the building. So with improving the software development features that they have produced this plugin that works with Revit, and that has as a result an life cycle assessment that is ready on demand without any further needs of any further or bigger skills for the people who are working on the software. So it's enough to be able to work on Revit, to be able to work on Tally. So this is another very interesting firm. The coming one is PRP Architects. And PRP Architects also, they conduct research that has to do with generating new revenue streams, with expanding the knowledge and expertise. So this one is working on a broader kind of research. They search how to make it wider, to have a bigger market space, and how to improve the practice efficiency, and how to maintain a position as an expert in the residential sector. So they have big goals here, and they also like to have they have a personal satisfaction when they have to inform the government with policies and leading the market delivery, which means that the research that they do, the results that they have, they work it and they transfer it to the government in order to be an efficient part of the decision making of their country. So this is very interesting as well, to be that kind of dreaming big as an architectural firm.
Mariam.
So
So
yeah.
I just noticed it's good, based on the examples that you have given. It's good to take note that actually research proves to has proven that it is a proven way of expanding the practice. The examples you gave are mostly, though they were creative, creativity driven researches. Uh, um, they were actually going beyond the traditional realm of architecture, which is to design a building, to to manage a building all throughout the process from pre-design to post construction. So so it's a good realization based on this one that uh, uh, it's good to point out that there's so much in research that can get anyone excited, whether they're creative, they're creative people who are creative architects who are really into design. They can design things like those sensors, the the chairs that consume much less materials. And then if they are the type who are into the management aspect side of things, I know of an architect who was so much into risk, and as a result of a research, they created a risk analysis software, which which is actually able to expand their practice, because now instead of doing one-on-one consulting, they can now have this software to to also give to the clients, and then they can now their services become some linked with the tool. So it's somewhere like a hybrid of the traditional practice and software as a service. And then this last example that you gave, the PRP architects, gives us also a preview of what can be done actually in the realm of professional practice, in in creating or exploring ways to improve the practice efficiency, probably of a particular subsector in the construction industry, and or for the industry as a whole. So regardless of, uh, so it's good to know that regardless of of your inclinations in the field of architecture, there is an area where research can be very exciting, and it goes out of goes over and beyond the traditional realm of the practice. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think that this is becoming now more important than any other traditional practice, because although the traditional practice will give you presence, because people will not stop at doing their building normal buildings and having normal and traditional architecture in their countries, but this experimentation and kind of development is very exciting to architects, I think. And it's I think that they can go both together. It means that the traditional sector can continue as it goes, but as well the this kind of embedding research in the practice is giving much more potential to the research to have outcomes, to have tangible outcome
Mhm.
that can be really to see the light, as we may say, that to exist, to really become something tangible, and to really see it, and be able to fund it, and be able to produce it as well, and put it in the marketplace. So yes, I think that maybe the two kinds of practices till this moment are very mandatory: the traditional one and the experimental part of the practice, which is the research part of the practice. So yeah, I would say that both of them has to go hand in hand,
Mhm.
because as we have said that here we have this saying: if technology is going to change architecture, then why shouldn't be architects who lead the research and development? So why are we leaving this part, which is research and development, unattended and underestimated in the practice? So yes, so I think that it will be a great of added value to architectural firms and architectural practice to keep experimenting and to keep having those unusual products, as well as working on the traditional ways and traditional methods of architecture that everyone is doing in the market. So
Yeah,
yes.
I flashed this one because some we talked about funding, who funds them. We talked about commercialization of the outcomes of research, and for those who are looking into it, into research, as some would think there is no revenue or there's no money in research. But the two examples you gave is a proof that there is indeed a potential revenue. And the better one, it might take long, but there is revenue potential in research, because the two firms that you gave as an example, there were researches and their offices were acquired by the living, and that is, they were acquired so that they will have funding, they can monetize their research. At the same time, they are still very much part of of the of of the endeavors, and they get access to more resources, for, of course, for their offices and for their personal, of course, for their as part of their personal target. So there is revenue for in the realm of research. So before we proceed, I would like to encourage everyone to ask. I know this is a challenging area of the practice. Even I am learning from Architect Mariam regarding this topic, because it's, let's face it, it's not really a day-to-day thing that we encounter in a deeper sense, in the traditional practice. So most of the time, our research involvements are just limited to data collection. So so this is really a very, very challenging and topic to learn about, because it's, as we said, this is not very popular in many countries in the world. So, okay, so Mariam, would you like to proceed with the next slide?
Yes. So we are saying that the added value of research to architectural firm will be so many. So there are so many added values. But one of the main is that when we're creating development, so architects now can participate in the decision making of whatever decisions are taking in their countries. They can participate in what way the market, in which way the market will go, in which way that products can be put into the market. So this makes architects of having an upper hand in every single decision that has to do with their practice. So if they do not do so, well, it will go as well. It will go good as well, which means that the traditional practice will not. It will benefit everyone, of course, but maybe adding some more experimentation will benefit everyone more as well in the practice and in the clients as well. So there is this also example from another architectural firm which is called Pierre Marie Architects, that they when after they finish their project, for example, they go in retrospect in order to make this research about what they reached and what they produced. And in one of their projects, they have discovered that maybe they should have had some kind of relocation of their project and a reorientation of their project of a 15 degree, an angle of 15 degree. So this kind of confessions that some of the people in the practice are making right now about research and about further questioning of their work is really very of great benefit to everyone in the practice, because now we cannot go like without seeing the bigger picture of everything in our practice. So in the next slide, we are showing you a typical research plan. How does it look like? So the first, for example, this is also from Pierre Marie Architects, architectural firm. They're showing you the stages from 0 to 1, which is the strategic definition of the problem of the project, and then stages 2 to 3, which is the concept design and how to develop their design, stages 4 to 6, which is technical design, construction, and handover. And those the stage from 4 to 6 doesn't include any research activity. And then stage 7, which is in use, which means that the building is now being in occupancy. It's being in use, that it started it started to work, actually. So now we can do the follow-up survey to clients and everything. So all stages include research activities regarding the project, except for the stages 4 to 6, which are the construction and the handing over of the project. So what are the challenges for research to architects? Why doesn't architects do research in abundance and in ways that every day, for example, in their practice? Well, there are many challenges that makes architects, even the ones who are aware of the importance of research, unable to do so, because there are many constraints in their work. There are the constraints of budget, for example. So budget allocations usually goes to the project. It doesn't go to further research. It doesn't include this kind of activity. There is the constraint of time, which means that time is very limited and there are set hours for every particular part of the project in order to finish on time. So there is the constraint of time. There is also the constraint of skills. Skills here doesn't mean that they cannot do it, but it means that people in the practice who doesn't have academic backgrounds does not necessarily have the skill to do the research. Sometimes they can have the skill, but they did not study it in their undergrad studies or whatever studies that they had. And sometimes there are senior architects who have the power and the authority of decision making in any architectural entity, and there are the junior architects. So junior architects, they can have the skills, they can have the fresh ideas, the new outlook on things, the new trends. They can have those new skills, for example, but they never have the opportunity to make their voice heard in such entities, where senior architects who lack those kinds of information and of knowledge of new trends, in especially, for example, in computational design, they have the authority, but they lack the knowledge or the skills. So there is here a discrepancy between generations, even in one entity, between people who are maybe a little bit outdated and people who have the new knowledge, but they lack the authority to transfer this knowledge into action. So there is this constraint as well, which is the skill and ability to perform those kinds of research. And there are other constraints like logistical constraints. Logistical constraints means like when somehow some architects don't really have the understanding and appreciation of what research can do to their practice. For example, it happens sometimes when they don't have the guidelines. They don't have this kind. How are we going to perform research even if we want to, even if we understand and appreciate it? How are we going to do it? And there is the pace, the very high pace, the very quick pace of new processes that is going very in ways that no one can really catch up with. Hardly they can catch up with. And when sometimes the linkage to research institutions and universities, which is sometimes or most of the time done on friendly basis, or as you can say, on people connection basis, but it's not done on institutional basis. So when it's done, it's very weak, this kind of connection, and it's done for a particular reason only. So to sum it up, when we are talking about what are the challenges that face the architects to make research, we can say that there are challenges linked to a budget, and there are other challenges linked to time, and some challenges linked to skills, and other logistical challenges. So how can solutions, what kind of solutions, what can we do in order to face those challenges? So solutions that, for example, an architectural firm like Hyde and Hyde did was to they had to get outside consultants, external consultants, in order to solve those issues. But this is as well costly. It's not like they solved all the challenges, but they solved some of them only. And what can be the motivation, if we can ask, to that can motivate then architects to conduct research? We can say that somehow it can be the desire to understand more, about the client, about the project that they have at hand now. And sometimes it's the contextual considerations about the sites and the environment and everything, and the material that has to do with the project that they have at hand. So it is, as we said, it is the question, it is the problem that they face, and then the gap that they find in the literature, and that's what makes them motivated to conduct some research in order to reach a solution for the problem that they are facing in their project, or when they are dealing with a client, of course. So if we have this question of which is better, is it better to have architects who conduct the research, or is it better to have specialized external consultants or researchers. I think that, from my point of view, that both of them should go hand in hand as well. That architects are the people who are most aware of their profession. They are the people who know and understand quite well every single constraint and variable in their profession and in their project. That's why they are maybe the best people to conduct research for their projects or for their for whatever they are doing now in the profession. But somehow, sometimes they will use or they will need external consultation from other specializations, like maybe psychology, like coding or software development, information technology, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. So sometimes, yes, they will need the consultation of external consultants and researchers. But I think that most of the time, architects will be the best at conducting their own research. Because there are the two points of views, but if I will choose one, I will choose that architects will be the best to conduct their own research. Yes. So some firms use different. So firms use different methods. Some firms use the informal experiments in order to conduct research. Some use the phenomenological experience and empirical knowledge. HLM architects, for example, they understand research can be a process where knowledge is developed in a cumulative way. So they base their kind of research on visits and inspections of precedent research and either their own work or others' projects. As well, of course, as post-occupancy evaluation. Another firm, which is Access Design, this is how they conduct research. The source that is highlighted in red differs here. Sometimes they use social media networks, trade magazines, and suppliers. Sometimes they use online resources. Sometimes it's conferences and seminars. Sometimes it's in-house training and CPD, and sometimes it's in-house on online resources. So it differs about according to the subject that they are researching about. They use which source of information. So this is, of course, the design research, which means the research that is connected to design projects in particular. And this is another type of method that one of the practices we're using, which is the generative design for architecture. How to generate thousands of design options. This is made, of course, by computational design, and evaluate each one and then evolve some of them and explore the potential of each option and design option, and then reach the final whatever option that they want to proceed with. So this co-design is between the human and computer. It's not the human alone here that takes the decision. It's not the human alone that generates the options. It is a co-design between human and computer, and in a way that make the model open for many scenarios and many projects. So this is the generative design approach. And as we have said before about the firms who get funded, the next slide, we have said that PRP architects are one of the major firms, or one of the few firms that have that got really funded with the European Union funds programs, and they have also launched a PRP Innovate in the practice, which means that they have launched this separate line of research in their practice in order to be able more to focus on their research in low carbon buildings, in building sustainable communities, in smart cities, in smart systems, in building occupancy. And so this group of their in line of their practice specializes in the systematic research and technology. So this is the one that existed in the RIBA study about the firms, that which firm is funded for research, and this was the one that they found that was funded by the European Union Framework Program. So PRP also has worked with the World Green Building Council and the Zero Carbon Hub to deliver a roadmap to progress towards achieving zero carbon homes and buildings by 2019, which is one of the targets of 2050 plan of the European Union. And they have worked on those areas as well as post occupancy, as we said, and they also worked hand in hand in their research with architects and engineer, economists and social scientists. And this is those are some of their awards. They have gotten many awards in many areas, like the housing and public housing and areas and small planning areas. So PRP is one of the and the next actually slide that shows the roadmap that they have developed for zero carbon homes. So this is one of the major firms that RIBA has talked about, that used research and funded research in order to create products and to reach solve problems in the practice.
So before we go to the next slide, so you can also catch your breath, Mariam. We'll just read some comments from our audience. Archiboss says, "Good evening, Architect Brian, Architect Mariam." Good evening, also Archiboss. Thank you for watching. And from Helen Ramos, good evening to all. Good evening also. And from Murad Tutu, salam. Okay, so for those who are watching, you still have time to think of your questions and write them down in the comment section. But just in case that you come up with where you are able to think of a question, or that maybe the question sinks in late, you can still send it to us through study@buildquotientph.com. So, and we will answer them. We will ask the guests, Dr. Mariam, to answer them even after this live event. So, okay, so go ahead, Mariam. Let's move forward with your slides.
Okay, so my coming question would be, why does research need practice? We have been talking about the practice and why it needs research for a while. So now, why does research needs the practice? In which ways the research institution needs the practice? So here it is important because for the business and skills development, it's not always followed through to its conclusion. When the practice recognizes that while research is vital, but they do not follow through to the conclusion of the research. And there is this quote, and that someone thinks that you have to do research in order to do development, but sometimes we just do the research and we stop at that. We don't do the development side of things. So in order to keep reaching the development part of the research, we have to use the practice in order to reach the maximum potential of research and what it really, as I said, aims for. It aims for development. So in order to reach this kind of development, we have to be working with the practice hand in hand. So this is why the research needs the practice. So other specialization? Yes, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, sorry. So in this regard, Mariam, do we make research to improve the practice, or do we practice to improve research? So it's yeah.
It's
So
a two-way. It's a two-way.
okay.
Yeah, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. That the practice really benefits from research, as we said, in
Mm-hmm.
experimenting new materials, experimenting new construction methods and technologies. And the research benefits from the practice because it makes their outcome tangible. It makes their outcome in the market. It makes them of real benefit. So yes, both, it goes both ways, that both are very beneficial to each other, and I do not think that one can go without the other in reality. So يعني practically speaking, it will be very limited if they went without having this kind of transfer of knowledge both ways.
So the practice provides some grounding so that research always becomes relevant. Um, yeah, when you say tangible effects, tangible outcomes, then it really has to be it really, the practice provides the context by which the research is done. So it's the both the context and the grounding. So
Exactly, yes.
yeah, so okay, so let's proceed.
So we were saying the other specializations that can help architects doing their research. So we're saying that many specializations, as we said before, that architecture holds many other specialization within. So it can benefit from scientists in many specializations like psychology, as we said, coding and software, IT technology, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and many other areas actually, and many other domains in many fields, and maybe even chemical engineering. And so there is actually an infinity of specializations that can work hand in hand with architecture in order to enhance the practice and to work more on research in the fields. So as we said that as we said that there is this paradigm shift in the practice, that now there is this comprehension of the importance of research into practice. And as a proof of that, there is an award for architects that make a substantial R&D products. So there is this Architect R&D award that started maybe 10 years ago, that goes to architects, engineers, fabricators, manufacturers, researchers, faculty, and students worldwide who participate in producing something that is creative and new in the field of architecture. And this award is given for prototypes, for example, for something that is still in the phase of experimentation, for production, something that is already available for commercial market, and for application, which means that it's something novel in the technology or a product. So this is a breakthrough in the architectural practice, when we're having right now this kind of awards to architects when they produce something new and they have this new impact, for example, on the building industry, and potential to advance to a more aesthetic and environmental and social value of architecture. This gives so much credibility to what we were saying, that there is in fact this paradigm shift in the practice, that the practice now wants more research. It accepts having more research and more experimentation, and has room for this right now. And of course, digital technologies is one of the major domains in such kind of experimentations, as it goes maybe to produce a new software, a plugin, a modeling program, a mobile application, and an analysis tool. All those kind of products are welcome to this award of architecture that is recently, not very recently, maybe it's 14th year. So it's somehow, it's of course relatively recent, but not very recent awards. And there is as well, not only this award, there is as well many publishers now that can publish work of practitioners who conduct research, like the RIBA publications, like Perkins and Will publication and journal, and the Architectural Research Centers Consortium. So there are also many publishers who are ready to accept work from practitioners who conduct research. And if we're talking about the RIBA publishing, for example, it has been working now for over 35 years. And it works for many, in many areas in the practice, like legal and management guides to technical design guides and anything in between. So it works in many domains in the architecture field. Then we can reach now how can the findings and conclusions be exchanged, which means that when the practice here finds, for example, a new product or a new solution to a problem, how can they exchange this kind of conclusion to the other practice or to the industry in order for all to benefit from their findings that they already have concluded? So there are 4 ways in order to have this kind of knowledge exchange. The first one will be internal exchange through formal briefings or sessions, like conferences and so. And another way, which is within the sector, which here, for example, in the UK, the RIBA is recognized to be highly important in doing so, in helping this kind of exchange. And there is another way, which is within the academia, some kind of like formal publications or academic publications and conversations across sectors, which means that there is this kind of formal exchange during conferences and so on. So there are 4 ways in how to make any finding in academia or in the practice used and acknowledged by every other person in the industry in order to make this beneficial to everyone in the practice. And how can we support as architects research in the practice? What can we do in order to support such idea in our practice? So the first thing is, how can we help the architects to find and share or use research? Because research, as we said, is somehow, it's a skill and it needs some study. So we have to help maybe raise the awareness, send those studies to everyone and share this kind of skill and knowledge with everyone in the field in order to have this basic information that is needed to perform research. And also we have to there are many ways other than that. We can help the clients in order to realize the importance of research, and when the client realizes this importance, they can have more patience and tolerance towards this kind of activity in their projects, in the projects that they want, that they need. And when we can, for example, provide more guidelines and framework for post-occupancy evaluation as one of the most done research in this field. Also clear technical guidance on emerging topics, which means that also providing technical framework and guidelines for the practice. And maybe there are institutions like RIBA and everywhere in the world that can help with providing the people in the practice with all those kinds of guidelines and knowledge in order to, as well as convincing the client and raising awareness to what research can be doing in our projects and how it can really affect the practice positively. So I think that those are the major ways that we can support doing research in our practice, in our architectural practice. And most of this presentation has been based on the RIBA publication of how architects use research, and the case studies from the practice. And I'm sure that there are other examples of firms that have as well used research and started to work on in many other areas of the world, especially maybe in the East, near the Philippines, and other countries like Japan and China and Thailand and so on, and Korea, and other also yani countries like the United States and maybe in Europe as well. So I think that this kind of study exists in many other areas of the world, but our examples were limited to what the RIBA has published. So this is, yes, this is mostly what we had to talk about today, about the use of research in the practice, and what can be some examples of the outcomes of such collaboration between the two domains.
Okay, so that's really a lot to digest in one sitting, Mariam. Considering that, again, for many of us, this is an area of weakness for many of us, especially for those who are outside who are not part of the academe. So I guess it just opens also a lot of opportunities for us to explore and to improve in this particular area of the practice. So just Mariam, are there any practical steps that our audience can take? Like, are there groups in social media that are research based that our audience can join and be a part of? Are there clubs or research clubs, clubs that can be a place for for architects to explore or start exploring research? Are there communities out there?
Of course, there must be many communities for big universities everywhere around the world, and for, as we said, big firms, some of the biggest firms around the world, and also the architectural associations in everywhere, whether it's in the United States or in the UK or in many other countries. So there are those official kinds of communities, and there are, of course, some unofficial also maybe blogs and websites and pages and everything that that discusses those kinds of having those kinds of issues, but I do not have in hand right now those addresses, but I can share them with the audience later on your page on AEC, Beyond Design.
Okay, thank you very much, Mariam. So um, before we Mariam, before we wrap up the show, let me just tell everybody, uh, inform our audience that this is actually part of a mini series called Women in the AEC Industry. So for all Tuesday nights, all Tuesdays of July and August, we will be featuring women in the AEC industry. So we will have experts just like Mariam who will join us to talk about their experiences and the processes that they have in their practice, and we will have them for all Tuesdays of July and August. Start at 8 p.m. So let me okay, so let's have this short Okay, so and then for next week, we will for the next episode. Please check this video. Okay, so we will have next week. We will have Christina Stoltz, the current president of the International Construction Project Management Association, to share about his experiences in the field of construction project management, and particularly about the effective strategies and the best practices in successful project delivery. So, okay, and then before we close this, Mariam, we thank you very much for joining us in this first two episodes of Beyond Design Women in the AEC Industry. It was such a pleasure to have you on this show, and I'm sure that many have learned and many will continue to learn from the topic that has just been presented, even as they watch the replay or of this episode. So before we end, Mariam, do you have any
I would like to thank
advice?
you, Brian. First,
Oh,
I would like to thank you first for everything and for all the preparation that you have helped me with to conduct those two episodes. And I'm really very happy about them and very pleased to be one of your guests and those very exciting in this series, in this type of series, which shows many profiles of women in the AEC industry, and which is something that I'm very proud of, and being in this kind of industry, and I'm very pleased to be here with you and with the audience. And I tried to be of help in something of in one of the major areas that excites me of in the industry, which is research and how to link it to the practice of architecture, and how to benefit how both of them can benefit each other. So this was a pleasure. It was my pleasure to be here with you and with the audience, and I will sure watch the rest of the episodes for the other yani, as you go for July and August, and hopefully, and I wish you all the best of luck.
thank you. Thank you very much, Mariam, for that. And just a few, maybe you just have a few more advice to our audience other than,
Well,
other than
yes.
what has been said.
Well, yes, of course. My advice would be to anyone who works in the practice is that we have to keep learning, because there is so much things to learn in the field now of architecture. It's not anymore static. It's not as it was in the traditional practice. There are so many areas that we can evolve in, that we can benefit from. The body of knowledge is expanding unprecedentedly, and like no other times in history in this practice. So we have to keep updating ourselves in many areas, especially in computation design, in environmental energy efficiency domains, and we have to believe that architects have to have the upper hand in their practice. They have to have their say in the decisions that are taken by the government in each and in their country. That has to do with the practice. We have to have a say in this. So in order to have it, we have to keep learning and keep updating ourselves and keep seeing what kinds of areas that we can evolve in, what kinds of areas that we can study more in order to have this kind of voice and to reach our governments.
Okay.
So basically my advice would be to keep studying and keep doing research wherever you are in the practice. Yes.
Yeah. And thank you very much, Mariam, for that advice. And for those of you who are or really into improving your yourselves in the practice, we actually build Quotient AEC Training Institute is actually a digital education company. So just follow us on this page, Build Quotient AEC Training Institute on Facebook, and in the coming months, in the coming days, we will be announcing some um, professional education programs that you can get into, and we will be offering some, yeah, some very good. We will be offering some um, many practical training programs that you can benefit from. So, and then just to say, to also let you know, after the all the after this mini series, everything all of this will be compiled, and it will be compiled, and it will be made available through our learning platform, so that you can come back to it, and watch it in a more structured manner that can help you maximize your learning. So thank you very much, Mariam, and we hope to see you again in the next series or the next few episodes. And okay,
Thank you,
so
Brian. Thank you for the audience. Thank you so much.
and just a last comment from Archibos. Thank you, Mariam, for sharing your knowledge. I cannot think of anything to ask. Yeah, I mean, research is really a hard topic to to learn.
Yeah,
Even
but there is this point that you have to keep questioning
yeah,
everything. You have to keep
yeah.
questioning. So yeah, you must have questions. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mariam. So it has been
Thank you so much.
really been a productive evening tonight, and actually even last week's episode was really productive, and so before we formally close this show, we would like to once again invite you to keep tuning in every Tuesday night here on Beyond Design, as we feature six experts, all women, all all in one industry, the AEC industry. So good night, and God bless you all. Thank you.